Well, it has been an incredibly challenging week for so many people, and we think of our friends and neighbors who are in the LA area. So many have lost their homes. There have been 6 rabbis of all different denominations who've lost their homes, and many cantors. Interestingly enough, the Reform Synagogue, which is in the midst of this devastated neighborhood, is completely whole. And the rabbi and Cantor did an interview there, and they certainly couldn't understand why that was the only building standing while everything else had been burned around it. And as I've been talking to my friends, the devastation is just absolutely unbelievable. And they've been telling me what they decided to take out of their homes as quickly as possible. And we don't realize how much of ourselves we put into our houses. We build memories there. We have objects that have been with us for generation to generation. And it wipes out a part of our life that we can't get back. So I wanted to share with you a prayer written by Rabbi Naomi Levy, who is in California. She is really an outstanding rabbi and author. She writes, "God, our rock and our comfort, hear our prayer. Our hearts break for those who have lost their homes in this deadly blaze. The victims are in shock, life as they knew it, all their treasured possessions, beloved heirlooms, touchstones for so many cherished memories, were swept away in an instant. Their sense of place and home, their safety and stability have been shaken. Help us, God, to anchor them, to shelter, support, and steady them with love as the numbness wears off. The enormity of the loss sets in, and the work before them begins. Be with them, God, be their strength and their comfort, shield them from despair. Let them know that you are near. Fill them with the courage that they will need to begin again. Bless the firefighters and first responders, and watch over them, God, as they put their own lives at risk to protect our beloved city. Work through us, God, transform our helplessness into action. Inspire us with the determination and the perseverance we will need to bring devastated neighborhoods back to life. Fill us all with a vision of the new days that lie ahead, a dream of our city restored. Let Jeremiah's prophecy of hope enter every heart and every soul. The city shall be rebuilt upon its ruins. So may it be, and let us say, Amen. Amen. Please look in your email for a letter from me about things that we can do to help support those who have lost their homes, ways that we can donate financially, ways that we will be able to collect everything that people need to be able to sustain themselves. I feel like this is going to be a very extended Shiva period for each and every soul who's lost their home and has gone back to see, fragments of their life on the ground. And so we will help as much as we can together. And I pray that there will be a time where we'll be able to go out and help build houses and help in whatever way we can. So we begin on page 120 with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. And we invite forward Zach and Sheila Gilstein. Page 120. While you're walking up, I just want to say it's wonderful to see everyone. Hi, Simon. Hey. It's great to see you. I'm glad you're here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chad me'er shel Shabbat.
We're going to do this.
Amen.
Really? All right. Please join me while we sing that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav tzivanu l'chad me'er shel Shabbat.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
All right, each of you please take a cup. And we join together in the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'ratzah banu b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hilchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikolim b'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hilchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim?
Chaim.
It's okay? Shabbat shalom. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys both have blue on. Yeah, it's nice.
We turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu as we rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We turn to page 149 and read the last paragraph together. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravi. Shema is found on page 152 and 153. And I just wanted to point out, as I did to our adult bar and bat mitzvah class who are learning Reish and Daled this past week, that at the end of Echad, we mention the D a little bit harder than we normally would, so that we know it's not acher. Acher means that we have other gods. Echad means that we've got one God. And so we focus, when we say it tonight, on that loud D sound at the end.
Which is why in the prayer book on 153, the Daled is slightly larger. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. malchuto le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod malchuto le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We turn to page 154 for the Via Hafta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אלוהים מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובמלאכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Emet. I was thinking this week about how quickly time passes. I received an email this morning from one of my first bat mitzvah students who was celebrating her 43rd birthday. And I thought, yeah, that's not possible. Aren't you 33? And she, no, there was not that. There was 13 years difference between the two of us. And I thought, oh my, really? And she was like, yeah, you were an adult. And I was a child, but, you know, now we're not anymore. We're the same age. And I said, no. Give me my years, please. I'm still older than you are. My daughter also turned 21. And I've seen her grow up. And I've realized that she's been growing up. But that wasn't as strange to me as having my first bat mitzvah student reach out. I sat back and thought of moments that have gone by, and that wherever we go, time seems to fly each year faster than it does the year before. And Judaism teaches us to treasure every single moment. There's a blessing for everything that happens over the course of the day. And the blessing is there so that we notice what happens around us and not let time slip through our fingers. And yet it does. I can't believe that we're already in the year 2025, and hopefully in the next 4 months, when I write down the date, it'll catch up to the real date and I won't be still in 2024. If you get a letter from me or an email that says Happy 2024, you'll understand that I haven't caught up yet, but I will. And so as we think about things that are happening in our world and how fastly times change, I just want us to take a moment and think about what's happened in our lives even during this past month. It's already the middle of the month, and so many different things have happened in the world and in the country. And sometimes, as it says, we need to stand still and let the turning times just slow down around us. We turn to page 157, and at the top we read together, "Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
This version of the Micha Mocha will be sung next week at the Martin Luther King Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel service. And I absolutely love the song, but what's also very special about it is that it was written by a Jewish man of color. So I'm absolutely thrilled that I learned about this song. And I want to read something that he wrote. He said, "Right now, it's hard to just be. These are complicated, uncertain times. Unsure, we've passed at the threshold of this doorway, scared to step forward into something bigger than ourselves. Like the Israelites at the shores of the sea, may we be brave enough to step into the water so that we might emerge on the other side stronger and more whole. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, and God shall reign forever and ever. Let this be our blessing." And the artist's name is Josh Nelson. And thank you, Evan, because he's going to help me sing it. Amen.
Yeah.
I can't get my... Here we go. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fene. That repeats. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fene. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. V'alechutecha ra'u v'anecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zeheni anu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai.
That's a very peaceful melody for Micha Mocha. And when we think about the time that it's written, when we're going through the Sea of Reeds and we're leaving the past slavery behind and marching into the unknown, it's a different way of thinking about moving forward. Usually we imagine it to be a frenetic time where everyone has grabbed what they can and no one wants to go into the water, and soon they do, and they're followed by the Egyptians. But this Micha Mocha imagines that it's a peaceful experience, that Miriam is singing perhaps lullabies, and that the rocking of the water on either side of the people allows them to move forward into a place where they'll learn how to be free. So I want to thank you for bringing that to us. It's absolutely beautiful, and Josh is an incredibly beautiful person.
He is.
Vishamru is found on page 162.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
On page 164, we find the Amidah, the standing prayer. And please rise. On Shabbat, we remind God who we are and who our ancestors are. And one of the first things that is important to realize is that we don't have a list of our ancestors with God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. We have each of them separate. And so why would you think their names would be separate? God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, God of Sarah, God of Rachel, God of Rebecca, God of Leah. Do they each have a different God?
No, it's their individual importance.
Okay, so it could be their individual importance. What else?
They each have their own relationship with God.
They each have their own relationship with God,
As do we.
as do we. And so I think sometimes, quietly, slowly, in between there, we can add our own name. We can add Velohe and our own name with those of our ancestors, noticing our relationship as well.
Could say Velohe Renee.
It rhymes.
We begin on page 164. Adonai sefetati tachu fi hagiti hilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanara, Eleyod, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zoher chasdei avot ve'imahot, mevi gola livnei v'neihem, l'man shemo b'yahava, melech ozer Mashiach magim, Baruch atah Adonai, magin Avraham v'Yisrael Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, michei kol atah rav v'hoshia, mashiv haruach u'morir hagashem, מחלקל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים באופק עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, קדושים בכל יום יהלוך הסלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We join together in the reading on the top of page 171. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue by taking moments of silent reflection, either reading the prayers that are on the page or whatever your heart may prompt at this time.
Adonai tzuri v'goali, Adonai tzuri v'goali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehu leratzon imrefi, ve'yon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri v'goali, Adonai tzuri v'goali.
We ask God to open our hearts to all that is going on in this world, and not only to notice and listen, but to take action to help prevent what we can. We turn to the service for the reading of Torah, Seder Kriyat HaTorah, on page 364 as we rise.
Susharim Roshechem, v'chinasu pivchei olam, v'yavo melech hakavod. Mehuy melech hakavod, Adonai tzvot, u'melech hakavod, Selah, u'melech hakavod, Selah, Selah, Shema חזק ואהוב, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, יכול בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני המלאכה, רבי נשיא לכל לבוש. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם אומר. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם אומר. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, והארדנו בתורתך ודבק בנו במצוותיך, ויהי הכי לבבינו מאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא ניבוש לעולם ועד, ולא ניבוש לעולם ועד.
Our Torah portion this week is Vayechi, and it means "and he died." So the Torah portion is actually about the death of Jacob and the death of Joseph, and how they each want to be brought up, their bones brought up, and be brought back to the cave of Machpelah to be gathered with their ancestors. I'm going to speak in a little bit about Jacob's death and the blessings or curses that he gives to his son. But our Torah reading can be found in the Plaut Chumash on page 314. And to lead us in the blessing before and after is Shimon ben.
Gabriella
Gabriella
v'Yochanan.
Oh, I could have figured that
Shimon,
out.
מה השם שלי?
שמעון.
שלי.
גבריאלה.
נכון.
אני יודע.
גם אני.
Yep. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. וירא יוסף לאפרים, בני שלישים גם בני מכיר בן מנשה, ילדה את ברכי יוסף. ויאמר יוסף אליך ואנוכי מת, ואלוהים פקוד יפקוד אתכם, אלאה אתכם מן הארץ הזאת אל הארץ אשר נשבע לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב. וישמע יוסף את בני ישראל לאמור, פקוד יפקוד אלוהים אתכם וייתם את עצמתי מזה. וימות יוסף בן 110 שנים, הכנתו איתו וישם בארון במצרים. And since we're at the end of the book of Genesis, we say the words chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. So I'll sing that. Please sing with me. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. And I translate it the way Rabbi Prezan taught me to translate it, which is be strong, and we will strengthen one another. Thank you, Simon.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
I just want to say that I feel like I'm so proud. I feel like, you know, part of, like, I'm getting the warm fuzzies here because I feel like you're part mine, even though you're not.
Private school paid off.
Absolutely. Rabbi, you're such a nice person that when your heart is in every single thing you do. So you get.
So is yours.
Well, no, but I think you're special. So
I'm special.
Good kind of. Do you want to do Hagba or you come?
You got it.
Okay. Please rise. Israel
We pause in our prayers while the Torah is next to us to offer a mishaberach, a blessing of healing for all those who we know who are sick and in need. The mishaberach is found on page 371.
Oh, but I'm singing a different melody tonight.
So it's not on that page, but you can turn to that page and find other words that are comforting as well.
This version of it, after Rabbi reminds us of the names and we elicit them, this version is call and response. So you'll hear what to sing as we sing it.
Oh, thank you. So at this time, we think of those who are ill in body, spirit, mind, and soul. There are so many people suffering, and we mention these members of our larger congregational family and then ask you to add your own names. We think of Rabbi Robert Orak, Martha Branween, Jessica Knight, Niles Chopair, Judith Landau, Pam Friedman, Myra Taxa, Michael Lynch, Jane Hilston Aiello, Yvette Urado, Mary Jaros, Rabbi Leslie Bergson, Barry Bernstein, Chuck Prezand, Sophia Van S., Marcy Gibeleno, Florence Schreiner, David Anagos, Felice Burns, Peggy Baker, Haiti Estes, Avi Bush, Linda Cania, Ann Carney, and Dottie Staffman. If you know of anyone, please state their name as my eyes meet yours.
Louis Cravette.
Thank you.
Jim Cooner.
Thank you.
Carolyn Suzanne Martin.
Thank you.
Polly Birch.
Thank you.
Thank you. David Fine, baby Ethan.
We join together. Dear God of our ancestors,
Dear God of our ancestors,
help us renew our faith.
help us renew our faith.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Bring peace to all our days.
Bring peace to all our days.
Restore strength of body.
Restore strength of body.
Help clarify our minds.
Help clarify our minds.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Rejuvenate our light.
Rejuvenate our life.
Thank you for all these blessings.
Thank you for all these blessings.
Throughout our days and nights,
Throughout our days and nights,
we celebrate the journey.
we celebrate the journey.
This precious gift of life.
This precious gift of
And
life.
We remain standing and turn to page 514 as we return the Torah to the ark.
It's Hayimi, Lamachazikeba, Metor Mecheha, Meushar, Veracheriga, Akenom, Mechonektivotecha, Shalom, Ashivinu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Adei Shamenu, Ikedem, Adei Shamenu, Ikedem.
Please be seated. Everyone feel warm in here? No? Cold? Comfortable. Good. Comfortable
Brenda,
is
you're
really
cold?
good. If you're ever cold, in my closet, I've got several sweaters. Okay. Or coats or whatever you may need.
She's always cold, and our thermostat is such that if you turn the heat on, her office is like a schwitz bath, okay? And mine is always kind of normal. But the wonderful thing about Rabbi Edelman is that every other rabbi has been melting, but she loves it. It's like a sauna. So it's just perfect. If you ever really want to warm up, go in the rabbi's office.
And when people come in for meetings, they're like, "Are you sure you're not too hot in here?" I'm like, I love it. Are you too? Yes, I'm too hot. Last night, I watched part of former President Jimmy Carter's funeral, especially the eulogy given by his grandson, Jason Carter. He said of his grandparents that they spent 4 years in the governor's mansion and 4 years at the White House. But the other 92 years they spent at home in Plains, Georgia. He then described his grandparents' home and how they were regular people. Of course, we all know that the Carters were not mere regular people. Although they served together in the government, as Jimmy Carter may have said, and he was the 39th president of our United States, it was the years outside of government that made his life extraordinary. Jimmy Carter, a man of faith, lived with morals, values, and ethics always before him. He worked for the rights and the health of other people. Jason shared that his grandfather's life was a broader love story about his love for human beings. I thought that was such a beautiful way to put it. And about the commandment to love your neighbor. He dedicated his life to working against the disease of poverty. We know, we've seen pictures of him building houses at the age of 80 to 90. We've seen him reaching out to people who are in need and giving hugs. He was a person who did extraordinary things. Jason Carter's deep love and respect for his grandparents was evident in each and every word that he chose. And for a moment, it made me think about my own life and what my legacy would be. I often say that I wish people could have their funerals while they were alive, to see what people have to say about them, and to realize that we all make a difference. And sadly, sometimes we don't know what people will say about us until after we're gone. You all know that I don't believe in coincidence. This week, we conclude the book of Genesis with the deaths of both Jacob and Joseph. The rabbis say that Jacob is the first person in the Torah to be granted with the gift of illness. And other rabbis say, illness, why would illness be a gift? Rambam says, because it gives us time to get our lives in order and to tell our children and grandchildren and family members what we need to tell them. Jacob gathers his sons and Joseph's sons around him to offer them and their tribes blessings or challenges based on how he had seen them in his life. And as we listen, they're not always blessing. Benjamin is a wild ass. Not really a blessing. Levi and Issachar, who went in and killed the men of Shechem after they had self-circumcised, are condemned for their actions and how they lived their lives. And not only them, but their tribes were condemned as well. And yet there are loving words for his other children. and how they behaved or how they learned through making their mistakes. Jacob, the rabbis say, is the first author of the Sivaot, which is an ethical will. In Judaism, we usually write ethical wills right before the high holidays, or sometimes as we age, to document our values and moral ethics as we hope our children and our grandchildren will live by. Unlike a will, which promises a certain amount of money to this charity or that charity, or grandchildren that get this diamond or that piece of earth, ethical wills are extremely challenging to write. You need to sit down and truly think about what matters most to you in this world. And then write down why it mattered. And these ethical wills are passed down from generation to generation. Imagine if you had the words of your 3-time great-grandmother telling you how important Jewish education was, with a list of her favorite recipes for different holidays and how she spent her days. Imagine going back even further and receiving an ethical will from Abraham Avinu, who was the first to recognize monotheism and the first to heed to God's call, telling us when we hear the voice of God or feel the voice of God that we need to act upon it. I wrote an ethical will for a congregation that I was leaving. I wrote it for my children, but in the end, people came up to me and said, that was really for us. It wasn't for them, was it? I hadn't told the congregation that I was leaving yet, but I wanted to give them something to hold, a piece of me. I was there for a short time, and I wanted them to remember. If you had an ethical will, would it make a difference in how you live your life today? If words of your parents or grandparents were passed down in this way, would you live the values and morals that they found most important in their lives? Would it cause you to think differently about decisions that we make every day? Or do you think that you would have read it and left it? Next year, before the high holidays, I'm going to offer a course on writing ethical wills. It's not going to be an easy course. We have to think about what is most important to us and try to put it down in words, and then make sure that it gets to the next generation, either in our lifetime or after we're gone. After listening to Jason Carter, I knew that he had read those words to his grandfather before he gave them at his funeral. And I know from hearing the eulogy and knowing about him that he continues to live the values that his grandparents taught him. He too is a lover of humanity. I'm going to ask you all this week to take some time to watch the funeral in its entirety, to listen to the speeches. Of course, Jimmy Carter wasn't perfect. None of us are perfect. And throughout our lives, we make mistakes, we have challenging relationships. But when you listen to those who eulogized him, the children of those that he eulogized, the words all say the same thing, that we must take our values and put them into action, that we need to live them, and that by living them, we teach them and pass them on. Next Friday night, we celebrate the words of one of the prophets of our generation, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who fought for equality with words of power and actions of silent strength. We will listen to his words, and they will remind us how in need we are of a prophet in this generation. We pray for humility in ourselves and in the world. We pray that those who sat as past and future presidents of the United States at Jimmy Carter's funeral truly heard the weight of the words that were written. Zecher Sadik Livracha. His memory as a righteous man will always be a blessing. How do we want to be remembered?
Rabbi, that was such a beautiful tribute. I have this lighthearted memory of President Carter, and I'm a little shaky to say it, but I actually need the congregation to remind me. Was it President Carter who was in the boat when a kind of deranged bunny swam out to the boat? Does anyone else remember this but me?
A bunny?
Stu, what was it? It was a hoax?
Well, it was a story built upon something that really happened.
So no bunny swam out to the boat?
Yeah, the rabbit was in the water, but it turned away from his boat.
But how many rabbits jump in the water?
None.
Okay, thank you, Stu. Okay.
Before we go to Elenu, I want to share my parents' favorite Jimmy Carter story. Every place we went, I had to go to the bathroom. As a kid, I had to see every bathroom in every city, in every restaurant, in every mall where we went. And we were in Waterville Valley skiing once, and the Carters, with their daughter Amy, were sitting at the table next to us. Amy Carter got up to go to the bathroom, and my parents were like, Renee, don't you have to go to the bathroom? I'm like, no, I don't have to go to the bathroom right now. They were like, Renee, go to the bathroom. Go follow Amy Carter into the bathroom and say hello. I'm like, no, I don't have to go to the bathroom. And in the end, actually, my sister made me go into the bathroom and say something to Amy Carter. And I don't even remember what I said because I was so mortified. And after that, I stopped going into every bathroom to see what it looked like.
That's funny.
It's one of their favorite stories.
Hilarious.
We turn to page 582 as we rise for Elenu.
586.
86.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'yotzer bereshit, shehu noteh shamayim b'yotzer aretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim b'imaham, u'shchinatu zo b'govhei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol haaretz, V'yom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
We turn in our prayer books to page 592. This poem by Merit Malloy is one of my favorites because it has so much meaning and tells us more about what we leave behind. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. At least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch bodies and by letting go of children that need to be free. You see, love never dies. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, please give me away. There are many different versions of this poem, and the one that I shared is the first one that I learned. And when I saw this, it was a different version, but part of our legacy as a Jewish people is that memory is so incredibly important to us. We are named for those who came before us, and we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. Their words and their values and what they wrote down in the Torah still makes a difference to us today. We remember those whose yahrzeit falls at this time in years past. Henrietta Barr, Helen S. Beck, Leonard Bleestein, Alan Borak, Rose Betty Kosberg Brinkman, Larry Brown, Gary Douglas Brown, Dylan Buckner, Josiah Eugene Chess, Anna Dernis, Saul Dersch, Nathan Louise Franklin, Evelyn Anna Rowe Gilstein, Howard Grauer, Edith Joseph, Florence Lippman, Charles Mindell, Dolores Phillips, Aaron Rissick, David Sandman, Bernice Schneier, Edward Silverman, Maurice Solomon, Dora Solomon, Dorothy Wolf, Jean Yagoda, Murray Zatt, and Joel Walter Zinn. And if anyone else has a name that they'd like to share, I'm going to ask you to share that at this time. The memory of the righteous is a blessing. On page 598, we find the ancient Aramaic words of the mourner's Kaddish, and we join together. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rava, v'yalmad yivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam ulmei elmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kedusha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiram v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlam Rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, huya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, huya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Please be seated. David Hecht represents our Board of Trustees, and he is co-chair of our Ritual Committee and has some announcements for us this evening.
Thanks for the intro. And let me just start by saying if anyone is ever interested in what the Ritual Committee does, we meet on the second Tuesday of every month, and it's online, so it's easy, and we welcome anybody who wants to come visit. There's no commitment. And Shabbat Shalom. And I want to welcome and thank you for joining us tonight in person or live stream. Join us next Friday, January 17th at 7 p.m. for our MLK Justice Shabbat service. Reverend Janet Jones from the Shrewsbury Avenue AME Zion Church will be speaking. The service will feature musical guest Dan Kahn and music by our joint choirs. A special oneg will follow. Neshama is this month's recipient of the Tzedakah Box collection. Neshama, rooted in the Jewish value of tikkun olam, repairing the world, provides comfort and hope to communities by engaging volunteers in disaster recovery work. After Hurricane Helene, they mobilized their response team immediately. What started with food delivery and damage assessment in Florida developed into a weeks-long presence near Asheville, North Carolina, with plans for a 6-month deployment. Save the date. MRT's Adult Ed Committee invites you to join them for a virtual program presented by Film Shul on Wednesday, February 5th at 7 p.m. The program is titled Hollywood's New Jewish Wave, a presentation on Hollywood's movies and the Jewish experience. See the flyer in the e-blast for more information. If you are celebrating a special occasion or observing a loved one's yahrzeit, we hope you will consider sponsoring an oneg to honor the occasion. Contact the main office for more information. MRT would love for more people to invest in our mission of connecting as a Jewish community. We welcome your investment of time as well as donations to help us grow. For more information on joining our MRT family or making a donation, please contact Jordana in our office or visit our website. Rabbi Edelman and Cantor Clissold are always available as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So actually, Cantor Clissold is going on a much-needed vacation beginning this week for the next 3 weeks. We wish her tan and sun and all the wonderful things. Please come visit me in my office, sit down for some coffee, some nosh, and we'll have a great time.
She'll be lonely.
Yeah, probably.
Thank you for giving me this time. I appreciate it so much. Our closing prayer is Adon Olam, and it's written. It was written in France by Sephardic Jews who had settled there. It's a melody you may or may not be familiar with, but Adon Olam is one of these prayers that you sing so many times that you'll get the tune very shortly. Adon Olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra li'ed nasa b'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol leva'ado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh b'tifara ve'hu yeh b'tifara ve'hu echad ve'yin sheni להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמזרע ולא העוז והמזרע והוא עדי בחי גואלי בצור חבלי בישרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו הפקיד תוכי ביד ישן והעירה ועם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירא אדוני לי ולא אירא.
Thank you. That's one of my favorite
Oh,
melodies
good.
for Adon Olam.
Oh.
I love Adon Olam because you can take the words and fit them into any tune that you can possibly think of. Think of your favorite television show and their theme song. Adon Olam will fit right in there. Try it out when you're home. Listen to different musics and put it in a Beatles melody or some other melody, and it just happens to fit. I don't know how, but it does.
It does.
We join together in making motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz v'te'avo. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. May you come in peace, may you go out in peace, and may you have a joyful Shabbat. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
It is with you as well.
It's off. Yeah, I checked. Appreciate it. Okay. Shabbat shalom. Thank you for helping us. Beautiful because you're here.
Evan, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful singing and playing too. Oh, sure. Thank you for having me.
He's amazing.
Yes, you are.